Boom, baby. We are live. Welcome to Interview with a Man, episode 756. I'm here with my personal great friend and mentor, Mr. Ryan Fowler. And today we're going to go deep. We're going to talk about inner game, frame, overcoming approach anxiety, why you don't feel good enough to talk to these girls, why you may have anxiety in the bedroom, all of this and more. We're going to get going right now. So stay tuned and let's get this party started.
Connection established.
Make money, make muscles, learn game, hold frame. It starts with learning dating, and then you move on to something else to push humanity forward. That is the philosophy of modern life dating.
I am teaching you how to be strong. I am teaching you how to be powerful. So when bad things happen to you, you don't quit.
Okay, because you don't know how.
Because you don't know.
No, if I'm not going to explain to myself.
In normal conversation where people aren't sitting around and patronizing you because you're loud and obnoxious, and a lot of people don't want to confront you and tell you that. But I'll tell you that right now, young lady. You're very loud and obnoxious and you're rude.
You wanted to blow it up and make me seem like something I'm not, and I didn't appreciate that. But that's okay. You can do what you want to do for your content.
Oh boy, somebody's triggered.
And
She's
you can do
triggered.
that. No, Adam sent me a clip.
You should want a woman that you can build with.
She can build me a sandwich.
My man,
It's common sense in every other country in the god world, but here you gotta get out a god Venn diagram and be like, hey, don't post half-naked photos of yourself because you're gonna attract predators.
Love
Man,
the samurai sword, bro.
You like that? That gets me hyped. Did you see that? Is that your first time seeing it?
That is, I've seen it before, but I forgot it was in there. And that is like quintessential Japan badass right there, man. Tokyo badass. Makes me want to play Yakuza or one of those video games in Japan, you know, like the GTA 5 version of the Japanese video game in Tokyo.
That would be pretty cool, like Tokyo Vice City.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, welcome to today's show. I'm joined here by Mr. Ryan Fowler. And if you guys don't know, Ryan is actually probably the cornerstone of my success in getting it to the next level, because in 2019, you know, I love the comments. I always reply to the comments, and somebody saw that I was, you know, doing my little affirmation thing and kind of like forcing my subconscious mind to develop. And he didn't think I was crazy. He was like, "You're onto something. Let me talk a little bit more." And I remember I just said, "Sure, let's link up, let's talk." And I met this fucking amazing man. And you know, this guy, because I talk about what happened to me as a child, you know, because I feel like trauma and being raised in America go hand in hand these days. And you know, I talk to him everything about, you know, approach to anxiety, performance in the bedroom, money, anxiety, everything. And this guy changed my life forever. And this isn't some woo magic, you know, feel good, cry at a retreat for feel good for a weekend kind of thing. Like, this guy offers amazing transformation. And he didn't think I was crazy when I said, you know, I think like inner game is the most important component of our lives. And yeah, man, Ryan, welcome to the show. It's been a while. How you doing?
Thank you. That's quite an intro. Thank you very much for that. And it's my honor and pleasure. You know, I'm doing it full time now, and you had a hand in get me launched, so I could.
Hey, well, I'm the $10 million man. You know, I'm out here launching brands left and right, doing my part to help change the culture, change the conversation out there. And, you know, it's been a wild ride, man. It's crazy. I never expected
Sure
to
has.
be internationally known and internationally renowned for just being a voice of good, a voice of reason in this crazy times. So where are you located now? Where in the world are you now, Ryan?
I'm in Mexico City right now. Last year, I spent half the year in Costa Rica, half the year in Mexico, and figured I would choose the best of the two to live in. And I like Mexico City more. I might get out to Merida in a couple years, but right now, Mexico City's happening, man. And they have Amazon Prime. They got like 95% the convenience of the States and a whole bunch extra. So it's a pretty nice place to be.
I've seen, I hate people in general that complain, but I see a lot of people complaining saying Mexico City is the same cost as America. And it's not, it's just like, it's becoming.
It's the same and cheaper. Overall, it's a little cheaper, but it just depends.
What's funny is your passport, bro, too. A lot of people don't realize that. How do you feel now that you've left America? How's your life changed? How's everything changed real quick? Because, the guys want to talk about pussy. The guys love the pussy.
Well, I got a lot of that. But, so here's the thing is, 12 years ago, I had manic depression. I had CPTSD. I was an incel virgin until I was 30. Very abusive childhood, full-blown NPD. Mother, not physical abuse, but just psychological abuse, which is every bit as or more damaging.
Worse.
And worse, because it will screw up your psychology, your subconscious, your internal world. Used to have just tons of rage and just anxiety all the time, like nonstop anxiety all the time. Just couldn't fall asleep because of anxiety, etc. So, now I'm in Mexico. Things are great. I will say this last year has been somewhat challenging. I owned a quarter of a roofing company. Majority owner died. The company had to shut down. I've had challenges. That sucked. I think I handled it so much fantastically better than I would have had I been in my trauma. Onward and upward. Let's keep moving. It's all, and it was a challenge. It's a challenge moving to another country. You know what it's like. You're in Japan. So my Spanish still sucks. It is getting better. Thank goodness for Google Translate. Overall, it's been great, because I'm now I did something I was very good at, and there were parts of it I really liked that made a lot of money, very high income earner. And people are like, oh, I wish I had your job and your Porsche and all of that. And not quite at your level, but doing very well. But now I'm truly doing what I love. And it is challenging. I got to learn digital marketing now and all this stuff. And it's challenging. You're learning stuff, I'm F-bombing my camera when it doesn't work, but I've gotten better at using my camera. So now I don't F-bomb it because I know how to use it. But there are always challenges in life. But man, when you get your inner world good, you just keep moving forward. And all in all, I just feel grateful and blessed. I have amazing friends. I am doing what I love. It feels like a superpower. And even though I've had these challenges, I don't have the massive anxiety I used to have. I overall my baseline is good. So no complaints, just gratitude.
Yeah, man. It's, I think gratitude is a really good thing. I think it's I think we live in this kind of Instagram world where people are just so constantly comparing themselves to everybody that like feeling good about yourself is almost like a cardinal sin to a degree. You know what I mean? It's wild. It's wild. So
and it's invaded Mexico, the whole Instagram thing, to a point, but it's not as nearly as bad as the States, man.
Oh my God. It's crazy. It's super crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't even think people realize like Instagram's just not real. It's the highlight of people's lives.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not really a good measure of individual. So shout out to our friend Laurent is in the house. He said, so hot. St. Greta has put you guys on her list. Thank you so much for that one. Appreciate you there, Laurent. Laurent's a good friend of us, friend of mine here in Tokyo, the wine master. This guy knows everything about wine. Has he ever talk shit about American wine to you?
No. He told me that you were, I talk to Laurent all the time. He told me you were getting into the fancy French wine and he was helping you out because he's a French man in Japan.
Yeah, I think if you could drink wine, you got to drink French wine. Honestly, I mean, it's just he calls American wine. He's like, oh, you're going to drink some barbecue wine. You're going to drink barbecue wine. He's like,
barbecue wine. I've never heard that. That's awesome.
Like,
you're going to use that. I'm totally using that.
It is garbage.
Shut up and take my money.
I'll be back in Dallas for 4 days on Monday, so I'll find an opportunity to trash some American wine when I'm back.
Have you ever had Opus One before?
No.
I mean, it's supposed to be like the creme de la creme of wine. It's like $800,000 a bottle. I've had some before.
Good grief.
But I'm a big fan of the Bordeaux's and the Saint Julien and all those things. It's a little bit of a hobby I've picked up, but lately I've just been living super clean. So if I drink anything, I'm just miserable.
I don't know wines at all.
Yeah, but he's a great guy. Another great guy that you've helped.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about what's going on with everything in regards to, overcoming trauma and what you do. So you want to just tell the people a little bit about yourself? I'll give you the full screen here.
Sure. Do you want me to just give how I got into this and how it improved my life or something else or how it's helped clients? Where would you like me to start?
Just give what you think is the most valuable for the people watching at home who might be struggling with anxiety, self-esteem, game, all that stuff.
Okay, so like I said, very psychologically abusive childhood. I had manic depression, very severe depression. Depression was worse than the manias. CPTSD. I did normal therapy on and off for 15 years, 100 sessions. It did help somewhat, but it took forever. It was so inefficient. And the last few years of therapy didn't touch anything. I'm actually 50 now. I found these techniques 12 years ago. I was searching because the normal therapy wasn't working. So I was trying different things out. And then I came across and found out my mom was a narcissist. So figured that out, which really turned on a light bulb in my head. Oh my goodness, I know what's wrong now. I knew something was wrong, didn't know what until that point. And yeah, I was an incel until age 30 and just tons of trauma, tons of every negative emotion, internalized rage, anxiety, despair, hopelessness, quite a bit. 12 years ago.
Could you elaborate on because that word narcissist is so carelessly thrown around in our culture?
It's misunderstood. Yeah.
Could you define that for the people at home who maybe start from point zero?
Sure. So a narcissist, it is classified as a personality disorder in the same family of disorders as sociopathy, borderline, histrionic, psychopath. It's in that same family. It's called cluster B. And every full-blown narcissist, every full-blown NPD has had severe childhood abuse. And at their core, they have massive insecurity. They have tons of anxiety. They feel not good enough. And at some point in their childhood, they had a psychotic break where they kind of went into this somewhat delusional world. There was this movie called, is starting Matt Damon, something Mr. Ripley. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of it.
He has a phrase in there. He's about, Matt Damon is playing a serial killer, the talented Mr. Ripley. And in there, he says, if only I can be someone else. And he's actually talking about how he creates this false self to hide like this monster that's in him. And that's what the narcissists do. The narcissists believe deep down because of their abuse. They're very insecure. They have tons of toxic shame. They feel worthless, etc. And they say, I know, I'm going to learn how to put this perfect persona to the world. And everyone's going to see that. And that's going to get validation. And that's going to, help me cope. And then they do everything they can to run away from all this trauma in them, to completely divorce themselves from it so they feel it as little as possible. And so what happens is you really have kind of this internal split, this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, except they will try and make the Mr. Hyde. It depends on the type of narcissist. There's actually two main groups. There's what's called vulnerable and invulnerable. The invulnerable is like your classic larger than life, doesn't give a shit, and he's just extremely arrogant, will never apologize, very much in your face. It's called a classic malignant narcissist. That guy, it's super arrogant person, never wrong, always right, kind of a bully. There's another type called the vulnerable narcissist, and they tend to be much more covert. But what they really have, they are trying to cover their trauma. And what you got to understand is subconscious trauma is extremely painful. The number one subconscious trauma is toxic shame, feeling not good enough in some way. It's an extremely painful feeling. It could be you're worthless, you're not who you should be, you're a creep, you're a loser, you're inadequate. But it's some sort of I did something bad, but I am bad. I am wrong. And it's the most severe type of subconscious trauma. People do everything they can to run away with this. And we're going to talk later about approach anxiety with women. And guess what? The reason guys don't approach beautiful women is they're trying to avoid triggering their toxic shame. So we'll get into that. But people become alcoholics to numb out their psychological trauma, their toxic shame. A person will just shut down their feelings, and they can become a sociopath. They won't shut down their anger, but they'll try and shut down other emotions, and now they're a sociopath. Or they'll become a people pleaser. They'll be validation seeking, beta male thirst. And I used to be, hey, if I only could get this beautiful, find a pretty, not even beautiful, just a pretty girl to love me, then I'll be good enough. And so I was super thirsty beta, and women are turned off by that. Women want a man who's strong above all. Psychologically strong, physically strong, all of it, especially psychologically, because a psychologically strong man is going to go places. So anyways, narcissism is a way to cope with toxic shame, just like an alcoholic uses alcohol. And what they do is they say, I'm going to project this very charismatic persona to the outside world to get validation to counteract my toxic shame. That validation is never enough that they get from the outside world. So the other thing they do is they become emotional bullies. And what a bully does, like a schoolyard bully who physically bullies other kids, is that bully feels insignificant, small, powerless. And then he beats up some other kid and he says, I actually feel pretty powerful now. So beating the crap out of some small, weak kid counteracts his feelings of powerlessness. Well, a narcissist will do that emotionally. If they can manipulate someone, they power trip off of that. If they can make someone feel bad, then they're like, see, I'm not inconsequential. I'm not worthless and useless. I have power. I just had an effect on that person. So they will, and this is called narcissistic supply. They either present themselves as this really great person to get validation, and that's the outside persona they project to the world. They'll get some narcissistic supply that way. It's never enough. So the other way is be an emotional bully and power trip off of manipulating others, making them feel worthless. And they project the worthlessness in them and put it on everyone in the world around them, and then they make those closest to them feel worthless. So if you're in a family with a narcissistic parent, that's going to suck. If you're in a narcissistic relationship, your girlfriend or your boyfriend is a narcissist, they are going to use you, and gradually over time you're going to feel more and more worthless, and they're going to use all sorts of psychological warfare, so much covert stuff. They're going to make you question your own reality so that you don't even realize that they're abusing you. You're like a fish in dirty water. You're like, my lungs hurt, I don't know why, or my gills hurt, don't know why. Well, it's like a fish who's been in a dirty pond their whole life. They know something's wrong, but they have no idea why, because dirty water's all they've known. And when they do things very, very gradually and ramp up the abuse very gradually and very covertly, especially when you're in a relationship with a significant other, they can turn that other person in the relationship, a narcissist can turn that person into just a depressed shell and kind of make them crazy in a way. They're victims. So it's a very complicated and very insidious and can be a very psychologically severe type of abuse. So my complex PTSD, my manic depression, my internalized anger and rage, and my constant anxiety, it was because my mom would use psychological acts of microterrorism against me multiple times a day to try and power trip off of that to counter her shame in her. And that's what narcissists do.
Let's build on that a little bit. So
Sure.
let me ask you something for the guys at home, right? Excuse me.
Yeah.
What would you say for somebody, because a lot of people don't even realize they're being abused or being manipulated or being treated better. What are some telltale signs of you are absolutely dealing with a NPD person, or a person with narcissistic personality disorder or some narcissistic personality tendencies? Could you
Well, I'll tell you the tendencies. It used to be that narcissism was much more men than women, but the most recent studies actually show there's just as many female narcissists now because as there are men, and in general, it's up. There's this one lady, she's out of, I forgot the name of the university. Just did a show on her my YouTube channel. I'm Ryan Fowler, SOS. Dr. Ramaswamy, she said now about 1 in 6 people demonstrate strong narcissistic traits, and 1 in 10 are full-blown narcissists in our society. So, and probably social media is probably the catalyst for that. It has gone up quite a bit. There is a lady, her YouTube channel, The Happy Wife School. She talks about women who mistreat their husbands. And what she says is a really good example of female narcissism, which is if you meet a woman who will criticize you but never admit her own faults, that is a strong narcissistic trait.
Whoa.
If you meet someone who thinks their way is the best and the greatest, but you want it your way, they just ignore it or they shame it. And women in today's modern society, now I live in Mexico, I lived in the Philippines for 2 years, you live in Japan. There are things your average United States woman does that most women in Mexico don't do. And it's not, so what I'm talking about is not female nature, it's a product of a sick society. So if there is a woman who won't apologize, I have women all the time in Mexico apologize. And I if I screw up, I'll say, yeah, I'm sorry. You know, I'm not apologizing all the time because I don't screw up all the time. And hey, little things you just let go. But women apologize to me in the US when they screw up. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm late. It's no big deal. In the United States, it's like they never apologize. What the hell? That's a narcissistic trait. But if there is a woman who criticizes others but cannot take criticism herself, same thing for guys. There's just as many male narcissists as females, but this is a men's show, and we're going to be getting into dating anxiety, things like that. So since we're on the topic of narcissism, if they think their way of doing things is the right way and your way is wrong or bad, and that is a trait in our modern society. When a lot of, again, I'm not crapping on women. I am crapping on a sick society that is in some respects narcissistic. They have a saying, and I've heard Rollo say this, by Rollo Tomasi, I've heard many others say this: men nowadays are treated like defective women. Because the truth is, as a man, I have my God-given evolutionary way of doing things. We want, I'm 50, I love 20-something-year-old women. That is not a bug, it's a feature. But if you're in the United, and by the way, in Mexico, most of them don't care. In fact, I'm dating them, right? But in the United States, you will see these women shame men for that. But it is not a bug, it's a feature. And so if you see a woman who says, my way is the right way, and again, this is very covert, but then a man asserts the way he wants something and she shames him for that, for just being a man, that is narcissism. Her way's right, his way's wrong, always. The Duluth model. Do you know what the Duluth model is?
It's an abuse model made by the United States government, right?
Yeah, well, there was a psychological study done, but it was a very poor study, and it was a very poor conclusions done. And the Duluth model, I don't even think it was a study even, but it was adopted by police forces nationwide. which is if there's a domestic dispute, the man automatically goes to jail, no matter what. Guilty until proven innocent. That's narcissistic. If this person is always right, no matter what, and the other and anyone who disagrees with that person is always wrong, that is narcissism. So our very culture has become infused with narcissism. Does that make sense? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Definitely.
And it's no bueno. And you go to other countries. You've been in the Philippines. I lived there for 2 years. I'm in Mexico now. I've been to Costa Rica. I'm not saying women are perfect in Mexico, Costa Rica. There's toxic women here. There's nice women here. But there's great. I have one of my best friends is an amazing female in the United States. She's an amazing human being. So you can find good and bad everywhere. But the Western culture has increasingly become more narcissistic, and that's why women have now completely caught up. So women are just as narcissistic as men in the United States, and that's what the latest data shows. But then you have a bunch of women who are borderline personality disorder. That is a whole other can of worms, you know. So it's difficult. It's causing problems, and there are a lot of narcissistic men in modern society as well. So
let me ask you something. This is my personal theory. It's a little dark, but bear with me.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I feel like we're kind of in this this unstoppable cascading effect of like broken people, namely women, because of the single mother epidemic. Broken women raising.
Well, they're creating toxic men because those men grow up in a single mother household, right?
Yeah, and the women too have these poor models of men. Like
absolutely.
I recently hung out with this chick. You know, she's a young girl. She's a sweetheart. She's a real sweetheart. You know, she's 19. She was spending time with me in I met her in Miami, and then we spent some time together in a couple places. And it was so amazing to see, because she has, you know, she told me she didn't have the best relationship with her father and all that. And then I just seen like these armies of men just constantly bombarding her, constantly, you know, just in like the most pathetic nature. These guys like begging her to spend time with her, asking to send her money. You know, she blocks them. They find her on another account. They call her like, and this chick is just like slammed with endless amounts of, you know, kind of dirty male validation.
Yeah.
And her mental model is like, you know, she didn't really mind just like using men and just kind of, I don't want to say abusing them, but like, you know, fucking just not really having a good mental model with men. And then, you know, she spent time with me, and then of course, you know, she like falls for me hard. But then, you know, she just had some bad behaviors that she wasn't even aware of, that I just for me, it's just like kind of common courtesy. It'd be nice to somebody if they, you know, spend time with you. But she just didn't get it, you know. And I feel like these chicks are everywhere. And like and another thing is like with these chicks, like I talk about it like sparring partners, right? All these chicks, like they have terrible sparring partners. Like they have all these easy men that are easy to manipulate, easy to control, and she's constantly in control. And women don't want to be in control in the relationship. They don't want to be. They don't want to be with a guy that.
A lot of it is mistrust.
Yeah.
And if there is a guy who can win their trust, the dynamic totally changes. But a lot of women are like, I'm going to use this guy and I'll never get close to him, never have a real relationship, because deep down they don't trust men. And some women, in a rare situation, you could be the man that wins her trust. I'm talking about traumatized women, certain types, daddy issues, right? Certain types of trauma. Some of these women, doesn't matter who you are. You can be the best guy and a high value guy. Mike Horton, my man. So Mike's a good friend of mine. Anyways, thank you, Mike, for the kind words. I helped him with his approach anxiety, by the way. But anyways, some of these women, no matter what you do, you can be the best guy, and not just nice guy weak, but you can be a good guy strong with frame. And some of these women are so damaged, doesn't matter. It's just, you know, it's not going to be healthy.
when you don't fall into like their mold of what they think you should be, they kind of lash out to a degree.
Yeah, and it's subconscious. It's deep subconscious belief systems based on a messed up childhood. And society given, third wave feminism now in the United States, many Western countries, it's that message given to women over and over again. The patriarchy is oppressive. Well, who's a patriarchy? Men. You need to be independent. Be independent from who? What? Men. Why? Because the patriarchy is going to impress you. And this mistrust that society gives these, and there are untrustworthy men, but if you think they're all untrustworthy, yeah, no wonder the dating environment's a freaking nightmare. That combined with Instagram, all that other crap, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, like, what's the solution?
So here's the thing. Let's say you're in the United States and you can't get to a country where there's less trauma or, at least less negative societal messages. There are good women in the United States. I know some, I've met some, but you are going to have to understand that narcissism's rampant, toxic behavior's rampant. And again, it's a lot of women not trusting men. And a lot of these women, toxic women, are attracted to toxic men who then reaffirm that these women should indeed not trust men. And they're just the society. What's up?
No, I was just adjusting my head.
Yeah. So not all men are bad. Not all women are bad, but we're now in a deregulated sexual society. Anything goes. You want to be trans? Great. You want to be gay? Great. You want to be lesbian? Great. If you want to, have a polyamorous relationship? Great. Well, guess what? In the 1950s, men and women got married and had kids. It was one thing, and now it's all over the place. So there's a lot of confusion. And I guess it's even coming up on fourth wave feminism now. Social media, women literally not needing men. They used to need men for survival. Now women have birth control and they can get their own job, and 60% of college graduates are female. So now women look at men like a luxury item. And so they'll go after the top guys, and it's difficult. So if you stay in the United States, I would say, John MLD, Money Muscles, Game Frame, absolutely. I mean, in any country, Money Muscles. Are you still there, John?
Yeah, I'm just coughing.
Okay. In any society, Money Muscles, Game Frame, because you will get the top shelf women. You just become a 7 in all of those, and you become a top shelf guy because you're a 7 in all categories. And that's not incredibly difficult. It may take sustained effort for some guys. It may take a couple years. I plan for 3 years to get to Mexico. But you just stay on that path, sustain effort, and you get there. Of course, you have to fix your subconscious. We'll talk about that next, because so many guys come to me and they're just stuck. They'll try to lose weight and then they self-sabotage and just gain all of it back and more. Well, they'll do that with all sorts of things. They'll start some sort of business or program and it's going well, and then they just crash and burn. And they're perpetually doing that because of they see the attractive women. They could just never work up the courage to approach them. They approach a few, they get shot down, they're devastated, and then they stop. And so you got to when we clear subconscious trauma, we get all that out of the way, where it's like, now you can just move forward. You don't have all this anxiety. You believe in yourself. You believe in your ability and value. You feel good when you feel good about yourself, you're going to go to the gym more if that's a priority. So you really got to get your inner game right. Money Muscles, Game Frame. In the United States or other Western countries, understand there are good women. Me and my friends went in the U.S., got good women, but you will have to accept you're going to have to plow through a lot of crap first. And that's just because it's a sick society. If you can, I sincerely believe the best thing to do, plan it out. It may take a few years. It is 100% worth it. Number one, absolutely clear your internal world. We'll get into that later, because that is the foundation. Just Google it, guys, right now. What % of our behavior is determined by our subconscious? and you'll see articles from Harvard, from Auburn University, other Psychology Today, whatever. 90% or 95% of our behavior is determined by our subconscious. If you're only using your conscious mind to progress in life and your subconscious is a wreck, you got trauma, toxic shame, all of that, you are going to struggle, and you're probably not going to succeed. You got to fix your subconscious. You are exhibit A. We started working on you in 19, and you became a multimillionaire. Would you have been able to become a multimillionaire without fixing your inner game?
No way.
I fixed my inner game 12 years ago. I wasn't even trying. My income doubled. And then I actually tried, and I doubled it again. That's when I got the Porsche 911. You and I went around, and Brent Caldwell took it up to 160, scared the shit out of me. I'm like, no. I'm screaming. You're laughing. Good times. That would never have happened if I didn't fix my... So how I look at it is you guys absolutely need someone to show you what to do. The technical stuff, that's John. You got to fix your inner world. That's me. I've done it for hundreds. I got amazing, results. But with that said, getting that out of the way, if you're in the States, you can find good girls, but you will have to plow through a lot of crap. That's just how it is. And if you can plan it out, get a remote work job and get to Latin America or Asia or somewhere where there are women who still have traditional values. And people say, oh, listen, I got 7s and 8s as a 45-year-old. I was dating that 18-year-old. You saw, I sent you the text. I sent you the picture she sent me, right? I'm not bullshitting. I was dating an 18-year-old at 45, which blew my mind. And by the way, that was thanks to you because you gave me some dating coaching and got my game up. But with that said, if you can get a 7s or 8s or whatever in the United States, you go to a place like Japan, Mexico, the Philippines, you are getting 9s and you're getting 3 times as many with half the effort. Why not?
You
know, and they're emotionally healthy. That's the biggest thing.
I had this revelation, and it was last year in 2023, right? I went down to Fresh and Fit podcast and whatever. And at that time I'd been so out of America, and I didn't really test myself in the dating marketplace in America because I just really gross.
It is tougher. You can do it, but it is tougher.
Because another thing is this too. We were talking about this when we were offline. Like once you clear up your inner game, like you notice women and people with dirty inner game, and you're so repulsed by it. You're so turned on by it. So in 2000, because and a lot of things, even me as a content creator, you kind of buy in as you consume all this, bad data, really.
You
kind of fall into the thing like, if I'm not 6 foot tall with 6-pack abs and making a 6-figure salary, like I'm just a sexual leper. No one wanted to be involved with me. So I met this girl when I was in Miami, right? Mm-hmm. This girl is like irrefutably a 10. Like you cannot even. I'm going to keep her obviously private, but this girl, I'll show you her offline.
Okay.
But this girl was just like legitimately a 10, and all I was doing, I was on the podcast, and I wasn't trying to impress anybody. A lot of people think I go on these podcasts and like I ham it up for views, and no, it's just like I am just the man. I am awesome. And people just like me, and it's because I've worked on my personality. I've cultivated years and years and years of self-development to become this man that I am. And I remember this girl, like after the podcast, she came up to me and she was like, I'm sapiosexual. I was like, is this fucking girl hitting on me?
Some girls really are, man.
No, she, so we ended up like, she was flirting with me. I was like, all right, I'm just going to go through the motions and see what happens. And like wanted to hang out. We hung out, and like I just was like hanging out with this chick, and this chick was into me, and I couldn't even believe it to a degree. But then I realized, like, oh man, like the Jonathan that I was in America, and the Jonathan that I have transformed into through your coaching, namely you, Paul from Apex Mindset.
Paul is awesome. Love Paul.
Paul is amazing. Paul is so
Paul's the real deal. Paul Apex Mindset.
Paul is so undercredited for. I think he's the best manosphere content creator personally. And then King Dre as well. But what more was more so the getting your inner game sorted out. And she just told me, and it's a common thing I hear now from women. They're like, you're just you're refreshing to be around. Like you're not like draining like the other guys. And this chick is like legitimately a 10. She is fucking beautiful. And I just remember like her giving me the time of day, and I was just like, oh my God. And then I kind of realized like this, and then, you know, from then I started talking, you know, I have a couple American girls that are interested in me at the time. So I just started like, I like to talk to these girls and get their history and hear about everything that's went on with them. And like so many of these girls are just dealing with like armies and armies and armies of like terrible guys. And so they become kind of jaded. But then when they finally get a guy who's like sound in his inner game and just has confidence and has, you know, fucking frame right here, like they can't help themselves but be drawn to you. And that really and at that time too, I was a little chubby, and you know, I was like fucking not really, I was just living my life, you know, resorts, trips, all that shit. And,
dude, I was dating a 10 last year in Mexico, and she was 28 and I was 49.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to dive hard into this.
Yeah.
Huge. This, you're hitting on something really, really important. And what I noticed is when I fixed my inner world, especially, so I fixed my inner world, fixed my depression, all of that. I didn't date for about 5 years after that. I dated for a little bit and then went MGTOW for like 3 years, and then met you, and I said, hey, I'm going to fix this. Men and women are meant to be together. I didn't date for a while because I previously dated women to try and get them to validate me so I'd feel good enough. And then I realized I'm good enough just as I am. What do I need women? I'll just view porn. But after a while, and when I met you, it's like men and women are supposed to be together. The porn's an illusion. You know, it's not real. So it's not a real, there is a whole dimension of existence you will not experience if you do not have healthy intersexual relationships. A whole dimension of your life opens up. And so when I got with you, and I actually worked specifically on my subconscious programs that kept me from getting the girls, you know, kept me from pulling the trigger, too nervous, etc., too anxious, all tight, not just approaching women, anxiety in dating, anxiety to flirt and sexualize instead of be the friendly guy, anxiety, you know, just to pull the trigger, go for the kiss, just anxiety in the bedroom, all sorts of anxiety. Got that fixed, and all of a sudden I'm like, my sexual market value is a whole point higher. I'm getting more girls, and they are noticeably more attractive. And that was all inner game. Now, that was 5 years ago. I'm, you know, now in Mexico, just by going to Mexico, yes, you gain another point of SMV. Mm-hmm. But if you're a 3, well, guess what? Now you're 4, so, or 4.5, you know, so you still have to have game. You still have to be in decent shape and have something going on with your life, you know, here in Mexico. But what I have noticed is you are right. I used to think there's only a small % of people messed up and the rest, everyone else is normal. No, it's a bell curve. There's a few people emotionally healthy. There's a few people extremely traumatized. There's everyone in the middle who has some level of trauma. Mm-hmm. And that absolutely gets in the way of intersexual relationships, especially with just the diseased culture and society and social media and everything else and online dating, all of that. That throws another wrench into things in Western culture. But I have the best relationships with women now. And there's a few things I've noticed. I have 18-year-old girls that are attracted to me now, and I'm freaking 50. And you may think that's sick and wrong or whatever, but women are, they are starving for clean, strong, masculine energy, because your average guy does not have that. Your average, and it may not be the guy's fault. It's his responsibility to fix it. And yes, he can. Any guy can fix their crap. But yeah, you being raised by a single mom, you don't have that masculine presence. Or for me, my dad was just super shut down. He's kind of like a wall. The wall's just there, you know. So and then the society, our society treats the women's way of doing things as the correct way, the boys' way as wrong, bad, shameful. You know, how dare you as a 50-year-old want a 20-year-old? Well, that's how we're wired. That's the most biologically fertile women. That's just how it is. That's not wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, now if a 20-year-old doesn't want a 50-year-old, okay, you don't want them. Fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. But with that said, when you learn to accept every aspect of who you are, you love yourself unconditionally, you believe in your ability and value, you accept who you are as a man, and you're comfortable with it. And then on top of that, when you value yourself, you will hold frame. Why? Because when people walked over you in the past, it's because subconsciously you felt you deserved it or you weren't good enough to stand up for yourself. And I've been on this journey. I am intimately aware of this because I went from in the pits of despair, feeling terrible, being the incel, being the doormat, all of that, to a guy who's now, very successful in many aspects. And hey, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We're still working on stuff, but that's okay. We accept ourselves as we are. And even when I was struggling, 12 years ago, I had many, external struggles, but I learned I'm good enough just as I am. And that got me to where I am now. And that belief also helped you progress. But with that said, when a woman, when you believe in your ability and value, that means I'm allowed to get what I want. That means I matter. So if someone tries to pull shit on me, that's not acceptable. And you don't have to pull shit on them. You just say, nope, it's a boundary. It's not, oh, okay, I'm going to fight fire with fire and be a dick to you because you're a dick to me. It's like, no, it's like, this is unacceptable. I'm out of here, or there's going to be consequences, or just whatever. And when you become that type of guy, that is what that's what every man should be, which is being who they really are. That's like the lion. Every like guy is born with this spark of like a lion in them, and it's just extinguished by all this shit. Rekindle that spark. And when you are like, when you know deep down, I'm enough just for who I am, the real me is the best part of me. There's only one me in the universe. Therefore, I have something unique to offer to the world. When you have that deep down in your core, and when you realize the real me is the best part of me, fuck society. I'm not out to harm society or anything like that, but I do matter, and what I want matters. You then become authentically confident. You are unafraid to share the real you, not the fake you, which is what all the narcissists do. Put this fake image down to the world so no one will see how they feel deep down inside, all their inadequacies they feel. That's narcissism. You are the true, authentically confident you. Right there, how many men do that? Just that, how many men do you think are completely comfortable in their own skin? They fully embrace who they are. And if someone doesn't see their value, they know they still have value. That person just can't see it. How many men do you know who truly embody that?
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, what's funny too is, like, when you do realize your value, and the source of you realizing your value is extreme levels of self-love. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also accept your flaw. I don't have to be perfect to be good enough. I'm good enough right now. My flaws are just something to work on. It's a skill to develop. It's something to practice. The more I do anything, the better I get. But listen, when you get to this, when you really feel this in your core, that is freaking crack cocaine for women, because everyone knows to get the women to swipe right on the app, you got to stick out. Well, that may not come through on the app, but when you're on a date with these women in person, it absolutely comes through, because so few men have that. And that is the true masculine presence that they are freaking starving for, because it's so hard to find. And all it is an internal belief system.
And it's crazy because, like, when I have things real quick. Shout out to DeAndre. Shout out to you. He just signed up for the Masculine Empowerment Network. Don't forget to join us in the Telegram chat and be coming to all the webinars where Ryan will be speaking. So another thing is this too, like, when you enforce your boundaries on these girls, because if they treat you poorly, whatever, and you're like, that's not okay. Like, they don't know what to do, and they panic, and then they freaking try their damnedest to keep you. And it's so funny because they have the upper hand in negotiations, and you're like, well, you're doing X, Y, and Z. This is not okay. Because most guys they tolerate anything. And that's why these girls are so conditioned into treating men poorly, because they freaking just walk all over these guys, financially extort these guys, emotionally extort these guys, run these guys through the fucking ringer.
Yeah.
They just are so broken inside that they just tolerate it. And then on top of that, the girls don't want you to tolerate it. They want you to fight back. They want you to be a man, but they don't know.
They may not even consciously know this, but their subconscious knows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they want a strong man. And when you finally, it's funny because it's like a life-changing experience for them when they date you. Because they just like, they're just like, oh, well, damn, I really you caused them to have a moment of introspection, because a lot of these chicks, they're running wild, man. These chicks are lying, cheating, just doing all this crazy stuff because no guy is like, hey, don't fucking do that to me, And then for me, like, if a girl does some shit like that, like, I don't know, I know my value, and it's not even about being, money or whatever. I just know my value as an individual.
Yeah.
Jonathan, that I'm not going to tolerate that, and I will replace you, and you will, statistically speaking, from just a psychological standpoint, you will not replace me. You will not replace me.
There's only one John MLD.
And then in the sea of damaged and broken men out there, like, good luck, because that's the only thing that can possibly help you is luck. So when we talk about inner game and stuff, like, I don't like, because everybody wants pussy. Every guy comes to pussy. I want girls. I get it. But I'm telling you, if you cultivate a rock solid internal world that is filled with love and peace, like, women are the last thing you have to worry about. They will find you. They will gravitate towards you. They will, they will do whatever like a woman, when they love you, bro, a woman will do whatever. She will pay money. She will abandon her religion. She'll abandon her family. They will do whatever they can to lock you down because they know how rare you are. And they have an experience, a backlog of terrible, terrible, terrible guys that they've dealt with. Yeah. And they know they don't want to go back to that wasteland. I want to ask you a question real quick.
Sure, I got a couple things to point out, but you can go first, then I'll go.
You want to? Is it to build off of what I just said?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
I really want to tell you guys. So after I got the I am enough just as I am, I mean, get it in your core, get it where you feel it 100% deep down. That's what I do. Subconscious reprogramming, core identity work. That was just absolutely huge, changed my life when I got that in my core. But when it came specifically dating to women, there's another belief I adopted that was just absolutely massive, and I got it in my core, and it changed everything with dating. This is a belief system that changed everything with dating for me. It is better to lose the woman than to lose my self-respect.
Yes.
That right there, you if you believe that deep down, number one, that means you value yourself, right? And number two, if you're willing to lose a woman rather than lose your self-respect, that's frame, baby. That's ultimate boundary enforcement. And if you feel that, you got to feel it deep down. Listen, I know what I used to know. I know what they are now, but 7 years ago, I knew what a shit test was. I knew women do stuff to push your psychological buttons to see if you're insecure. I had memorized how to respond when they do it, the little scripts and everything. And then women would shit test me and I would fail the shit test. Why? Because my subconscious, which directs 95% of our behavior, it would get triggered. They'd trigger my insecurities. I'd internally kind of freak out and I'd fail the shit test. And then like a minute later, damn it, I failed a shit test with another girl and now she won't text me back. She goes to me. But when you feel this in your core, it's better to lose a woman than to lose your self-respect. All of a sudden, women treat you better. Because women are so freaking good at picking up on right micro expressions and vibes and all the, they will actually shit test you far less once you get to the point where you naturally pass shit tests. And how you naturally pass it is she's just doing women shit. It has nothing to do with me. And I would rather lose her than lose my self-respect. Okay, you're not going to respect me. All right, have a great life. And that's when they start chasing you, by the way. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, the greatest currency in our time is not a guy who's because a lot of these guys, and this is kind of counterintuitive, but a lot of these guys who are super rich, super jacked, super high status, a lot of that is compensation for feeling internally like shit.
Yeah.
You know, so they'll get with these guys and then they would be like, you know, thinking like, oh, this like society tells me this is what I want. And then this guy is a damaged individual. And his like to have a healthy, clean internal world right now is the ultimate currency in this fucked up world.
Because it's so rare. It is
rare. And that's why I don't worry about money. I don't worry about women because I know that I've done the work that I will attract what is due to me. And I've not like, I can't remember the last time I've not had a woman in my life. Like these girls, they come and they stick to you and it's amazing. They mold to you. Your hobbies become their hobbies. You know, I say I don't want to drink. Guess who doesn't want to drink all of a sudden? I say I want to exercise. Guess who wants to go buy fucking exercise clothes? I like to stay at home, cook, clean, just chill at home, be a homebody. They want to fucking cook, clean, stay at home, be a homebody.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and some of for me, my experience is some of these women, they'll even drop off the radar for like a week or 2 weeks or a month, sometimes even 2 months. But for some, this never happened before I cleared my inner world. In my inner world, first date and rarely a second date. That was my life before I cleared out my inner world and learned game from you. Now, some of these women will disappear for a month, 2 months, whatever, a couple weeks. But then they all of a sudden they pop up and they want to get together again. And it's just like something about my interaction with them stuck in the back of their mind. And then they just came back. And it happens all the time now. You know, most of the time they just want to keep dating me, but if they don't,
well, what happens is I would let me make a prediction here. So you probably have a situation where you enforce a boundary. They don't like it, so they disappear for a little bit, and then they go out there and they see what they have to fucking, all the shit they have to dig through to find.
And they come, exactly, bro.
And they're like, hey, bro, I can't, like, I gotta fucking get my act together. And they come back, And
before the show, we were talking. I think I was telling you about this girl. She last minute canceled 2 dates. And I've been dating her for 3 months. This is when I first got to Mexico City. And this girl shoots commercials. She is an actress who's on national brand commercials and small commercials. She's hot. She's like high 8, maybe a 9. When she dresses up, she's absolutely a 9. And she ghosted me, or she didn't ghost, but she last minute canceled twice. And I said, listen, and she did apologize, but I said, you did it twice in a row. You have to buy me a drink. You have to do something to show me the apology's real. She wouldn't do that. And I'm like, we're done. I went to Costa Rica and we reconnected 6 months later, but I'm out of here for 6 months. But honestly, there was something special about her. So after 6 months, I said, okay, I'll give her one more try. When I came back, since then, I've been dating her 6 months since then. The absolute most respectful girl, man, because she knows if she disrespects me, I do not fuck around now. And that's what will happen when women see you enforce your boundaries. They start respecting you, man. They start respecting those boundaries, or they're gone. Some of them are just toxic and they're gone, and good riddance. Who cares?
Yeah. And again, like I said, it's the ultimate life currency, because no matter what, like bad things happen, the economy's down, whatever the case may be,
crap happens.
You have this internal peace that you cannot buy. I want to segue something real quick. So there's a guy that's been following me long, like, and he's constantly saying this. He's always saying like, you should it's better off using escorts than real women because there's less trouble involved, and real women are going to damage you and blah 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 blah. Like, I feel like this is a person who's been extremely damaged and hurt.
I would say that's probably worse than porn.
It's just glorified masturbation,
Well, because those girls truly don't give a crap about you, and you're kind of dealing with, in some ways, kind of a shell of a woman.
That's nice of you. Kind of.
Okay, well, pretty much. The interaction, you're going through the motions, but all the things. Listen, man, I have been the guy.
It's the highest ROI.
I said the high. Okay, cool. All right. listen, I'm sure the really high end ones are good at faking it, but they're still faking it. I'm trying to figure out how to put this correctly. I said earlier, there's a whole new dimension of living when you have healthy intersexual relationships.
Yes.
And listen, I was the guy. I was an incel till I was 30. I would view porn. I would do all of that. And you know, honestly, I don't think porn is the end of the world, but it's kind of like drinking alcohol. It can absolutely be a problem. You know, you might vary somewhat from me on that. Again, I don't think it's the end of the world, but yeah, can it be a problem? Yeah, absolutely. Big one. It's a fake relationship. It's a substitute for an absolute, you know, it's a substitute for a real good relationship. Maybe you don't believe you can get the good relationship, or you're using it as a drug to cover stuff up. Okay. But the thing with, at least with porn, there's no risk there. You know, with escorts, not only is it absolutely hollow, but you're dealing with a real woman, but it might as well be a sex robot, you know, you guys, when you have emotionally healthy relationships with women, there's a whole new dimension there. You are completely missing out. And you're probably actually thinking over time that this escort is what women are really like. And it's just not true at all. You know, same thing with porn. You know, that's not what women are like. Women are absolutely sexual creatures. Are you still there? Or you disappeared, Jonathan? Did you pop off? Okay, so I'll keep talking until you're back. Women are actually sexual creatures. They absolutely love sex. But like it or not, and it is a good thing when it's a good woman. There is such a great dimension of human interaction that is involved in healthy relationships, and you just flat out don't get that if it's
I'm sorry, but you're not gonna. There's no justifying this. Okay.
Yeah.
He's saying it's hard to go back to regular dating. Doug, you are a simp. Okay. You are a damaged and broken individual, and somebody needs to tell this to you. Okay. You're a damaged and broken individual, and you are viewing sex like this. You're so broken and damaged that you think that paying a prostitute, you're using a word escort to make yourself feel better. You're using a prostitute who is one of the most mentally damaged kind of person. Like, think about the series of events a woman would have to go through in order for her to be like, you know what? I'm just going to sell my body to men, and selling it to men like you who are broken individuals. Okay.
Well, they sell it to men and they have no standards. Anyone who gives them money, they'll hump that guy. They'll screw that guy.
Yeah.
And that's where these women get really screwed up, because it's actually a core feature of women. They can only have one baby at a time. It better be the right guy that gets them pregnant, a guy who sticks around and is going to be a good guy worth 9 months of pregnancy for. You know, prostitutes, they just throw all that to the wind, say no standards, give me money, you're 300 pounds, I don't care. You know, and that breaks them in a way.
And you don't get the good sexual connection. Like that you just do not get it. It is an empty fucking connection. It is not worth it. It's dirty. It's hollow. And here's the thing. If you think that's a good sexual connection, then I know you don't have game, and I know you don't have a good relationship with yourself, let alone women. Because if you have a real good emotional connection with a girl, dude, the sex is so much better. And if you think, here's another thing, you don't have game, you're not the man, you're a simp, bro. You're a fucking trick. You don't have game. Because you're afraid of women. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, all this boils down to is you're a coward. You're afraid of women. You act like you're big, bad, tough guy. You're afraid of a girl. That's you. You're like, oh, I'm going to waste time. I'm going to waste money. No, you're wasting your soul away by going to bed with a whore. And you're championing yourself, spending time with a very psychologically deeply wounded woman, and that jumps on you. Okay, that's that. You can't. I know you're not. You listen, bro. You say I'm honestly listening. You can't shun me because I'm right and you're wrong. There's no shunning. You cannot shun the truth. Okay, It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Yeah. And then so here it says approach women to maybe get one. Well, hey, it's called being a man. If you can't handle it, then go and enjoy your life with whores. You know how that makes you feel deep down inside. And you're running your bank account. You know, you could be putting that money into the VOO. You could be putting that money into simply the S&P 500. You could be investing in Bitcoin. You could be doing so much things with that money, but you're such a slave to your sexual perversion that you are here on our live stream justifying sleeping with whores. That's sad. It's really just sad, quite frankly.
I am going to play good cop. You're being bad cop. I'll play good cop. The thing is, I understand why guys might do that. I'm not excusing it. I understand why guys go MGTOW. Understand why guys go black pill. I mean, I had utter despair. I was virgin till I was 30, you know. So I totally get it. And we do live in a toxic environment where many women are toxic, probably the majority, in my opinion, in Western culture. Doesn't mean there aren't good women. There absolutely are. But listen, man, you can fix your internal world. And if you're really honest with yourself, what you really want is good sex and good intimate connection with a good woman. And maybe you're doing the escort thing because you think you can't have those good connections. But I'm telling you, man, you fix your internal world, you absolutely can. And it is worth it. And I'm coming from the guy, you know, who has had the manic depression, all those, you know, just dating just freaking sucked, man. I just friend zoned so hard all the time because I was the weak beta. But when I say weak, I was never a bad person. I was a traumatized person. I had a terrible upbringing. I never had anyone show me. And my dad was shut down. He'd come home, watch TV. He'd either be angry or just watching TV and just kind of ignoring us. But it's because he had no idea how to be a dad because his dad was a narcissist. So he had a lot of issues. So I don't hold that against my, you know, dad. But I understand you may have not had anyone show you how to succeed with women or be a real man, but I'm letting you know we can get you there. If you doubt me, go to my YouTube channel, just Ryan Fowler SOS, watch the videos section. There's like 30 interviews there. Dudes just 1 session, 2 sessions changing their lives. We rewire your deep belief systems, your deep core subconscious. There's actually a mountain of science behind this. You go on my YouTube channel, watch the 4-part series on super neuroplasticity where Dr. Andrew Huberman says you put these 5 steps together and you can instantly change deep belief systems in your brain like that. And that's what we do. You know, mainstream psychology won't do that because they'd rather turn you into a freaking annuity where you come back and give them a regular income stream. So they don't want to get you better right away. But the science is absolutely there that you can do it. And we're doing it. And you can do it for you. And then get the life you really want. Because what you're doing, if you're honest with yourself, is not what you really want. It's a substitute.
Yeah. And he's saying here too, he's saying like, you know, what does he say? I don't care about connection. That because you're afraid to be hurt. You're afraid. This all goes down to you being a scared little boy. Period.
Well, it's just trauma, man. And that is a scared little boy. That's what trauma does. We got our scared inner child, man. It's true.
Yeah. But it's not the way. It's not the answer. Because if you were so happy and fulfilled, you wouldn't be on this live stream trying to justify your perspective on life. You know,
you will learn things from emotionally healthy women that you wouldn't know otherwise.
Dude, when you date an emotionally healthy woman, it is like an oasis in a desert of whores. It's just like I still hear the laughter of some of these healthy women I've dated in the past in my mind. And you know, it's just, yeah, I mean, again, you know, it's just here's the thing, right? So he says, I just want something casual, no responsibility. Again, you
can do that for a while. Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, I've been dating a girl for 9 months, but I'm not monogamous, you know, so have your fun. That's an opportunity to learn and grow. Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here on my live stream and justify tricking, you know, I'm not.
Yeah, I understand. I agree on that.
And if you're really upset,
casual is not tricking.
Yeah.
You mean casual without tricking.
And here's the thing too, you're not making the world a better place. You're actually part of the problem because you're facilitating this filth. You're literally financing the filth that you hate. Like all the broken women and shit that you hate out there, like you're literally financing it. So let's shift gears here. I want to talk about the self-sabotage and how trauma leads people, because I still have a hard time grasping this, and I want you to shine some light, because you say that when a person has unresolved trauma in their hearts, unresolved trauma in their life, like they can't level up because their trauma causes them to self-sabotage and ruin anything good. Can you break that down? Because I still it's hard for me to wrap my mind around that.
Okay. So here's some really big foundational stuff that impacts absolutely everyone. Our brain, this is neuroscience. This is your brain's limbic system, how it works. That's the middle part of your brain where your fight or flight response and your emotions come from, tied to your subconscious. We have two neurological drivers that lead our brain to pursue things, and two drivers lead us to avoid things. So the first, not as strong, but it's there. We are motivated to pursue familiar, comfortable things, motivated to avoid unfamiliar. Before I moved to Mexico, I had been to, yes, Jordan, I agree. Not only that, and just the whole relationship, just how they look at the world. You're going to learn new things. Women have a different type of intelligence. We're great. Men are great at some things, women are not. I was watching TV with this one woman. She's like, that girl likes that guy. And I'm like, what? Why? How do you know? She goes back. She has to play 2 times this little micro expression. This girl, play it 2 times for me to pick up on it. She got it like that. And she points it out. I mean, you'll learn stuff. You'll learn game from them, dude. Anyways, certain types of game. Other types they'll never teach you. But you need guys for the best game. But, man, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. What was I talking about, John?
Take your time. We were talking about how women are smarter in certain areas than men.
Yeah, it's smarter. I was talking about something before that, though.
They can teach you a lot.
What was your original question?
I mean, about the trauma, how trauma causes people to self-sabotage.
Okay, yeah. So our brain motivates us towards the familiar, away from the unfamiliar. We all have that. I had been to Mexico once before I moved to live in Mexico City. 2 weeks before I moved to Mexico City, I had 3-4 out of 10 anxiety, like all the time. It was low level, but it was there. And listen, my internal world, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn clean. I'm like top 1% internal world. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm way up there because I cleared all this crap out, right? Or a ton of it. And I just said, hey, I'm going into an unfamiliar situation. My brain's going to give me a little anxiety. That's just how we're wired. It kept us alive in ancient times. You go to a new watering hole you haven't been to before, be a little cautious. Maybe there's a crocodile in it. The old one's safe. You know the old one's safe. So understand that. But here's where the real juice is. There is something else propels us towards pleasure and away from pain. This is stronger. Our brain motivates us to pursue pleasure. That is strong. That's why guys spend so much money to learn game, right? They'll go to a boot camp and stay somewhere for a week and spend $5,000 or whatever. So they're really motivated to get the pleasure. But above all, we are motivated to avoid pain, including emotional pain. So all this self-sabotage, your approach anxiety is your subconscious trying to get you to avoid the pain. There's 2 types of pain usually that our subconscious perceives when you see an attractive woman. You want to approach her because, hey, if you get with that perfect 10, that is going to be absolutely freaking amazing, mind-blowing. You know, sex with a perfect 10, a relationship with a perfect 10 inside and out. Why don't you approach her? Because above all, our brain wants us to avoid pain, including emotional pain. And if you see a girl and have high approach anxiety, it's because your subconscious is saying one of 2 things, or one or both of 2 things. Number 1, if she rejects you, you're going to feel horrible. You're going to feel like a loser, unattractive. You're embarrassed. You feel like crap, whatever. Here's the other one. I asked some guys with high approach anxiety, how do you feel when you approach a woman and she says no, she rejects you, she has a boyfriend, cold shoulder, whatever? How do you feel? Some guys with high approach anxiety say, I actually felt a little awkward, but I actually felt good. I was brave enough to approach her. Well, If your anxiety is there to get you to avoid the pain of getting rejected, why didn't they feel bad for getting rejected? Well, there's another type of pain that could happen. I asked these guys, how do you feel when you see an attractive woman and you don't approach her? How do you feel? And they're like, I'm a coward, I'm a pussy, I'm not enough of a man, and that feels horrible. There's just some type of pain there. And what happens is anytime we are in a situation where our subconscious mind says, if this goes wrong, there will be pain, the flight part of our fight or flight system kicks in and gives us anxiety. And what our brain is trying to do is saying, avoid this whole situation so you don't feel that pain. And emotional pain is tied to survival of the tribe. 99% of human existence has been in tribes. And if you didn't have the tribe, if the tribe didn't have your back, you're probably going to die. You're not going to survive alone in the wilderness. You're certainly not going to reproduce and pass your genes if you're all by yourself in the wilderness. So emotional pain is all about don't go against the will of the tribe. And that is tied to survival. By the way, if you want to get to some more neuroscience and some evolutionary psychology, there are anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer tribes, Aborigine, etc. And on average, the homicide rate for men in these modern tribes in the Amazon or wherever, 25%. 1 in 4 men in these modern tribes, again, in the middle of nowhere, an exact copy of these ancient tribes, hunter-gatherer tribes. 1 in 4 men are murdered. It's usually intertribal warfare over resources and women. And there's this one tribe in Peru, it's a 60%. 60% of men are murdered, mostly by other tribes. And they're fighting over women and resources. So when you see that attractive women, I can get approach anxiety. I regularly do. Guys come to me, 10 out of 10 approach anxiety. One session down to 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10. There's always going to be a little bit there because we have involved in an environment where if you see a foreign woman, your brain's like, oh, you don't know that woman, other tribe, you might get killed if you approach her. So understand there's some of that at play too. But 90% of approach anxiety is if I approach that woman, either she rejects me or I don't approach her and feel like crap. That's going to feel horrible. And your flight system says, get out of there. Even if leaving and not approaching her causes you to feel bad. This is an ancient part of our brain. It just says there's potential pain here. I'm giving you anxiety to just get you to avoid the whole thing. That belief, if she rejects me, I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, or I'm a coward because I didn't approach her. Those are subconscious programs that we can literally locate in your subconscious, get them out of you, rewire them, replace them with a good program, such as I have massive value just for who I am. If that woman doesn't see my value, doesn't mean I don't have value. It means she can't see it. That's her blindness. That's her problem. That is 0 fucks given alpha male. And that we put that in your core and then boom, like that. Next day, guys go out and 9 out of 10 anxiety down to 2 out of 10. Now, Mike Horton earlier commented on this show. He took my self-hypnosis program and I think I posted the testimonial. It's at least a video short, but I think it's on my YouTube channel right now where he had 9 out of 10 approach anxiety. Self-hypnosis, got that belief out, rewired his subconscious like that. Immediately next day went out, approached 2 women, 2 out of 10 approach anxiety, permanent effect. So these guys who are seeing escorts because they feel not good enough and they don't want to get rejected. Hey, an escort will never reject you. That's the upside. You got the money, she'll take it. She'll give you this, the sex, etc. But guys who are doing porn, that girl will never reject you. And so what guys who do that instead of going after the real women, it's because when you go after, even in Mexico, you're going to, there's rejection. It happens. Day game approaching or night game approaching is not the only way to approach women. You can do apps or you can join some book club or get a girl in your church or, there's other ways. But invariably going after real thing involves rejection. Men who are afraid of approaching women is because when they do get rejected or they feel terrible or they feel horrible because they didn't approach her and they feel like a coward. We can literally rewire that out of you, get rid of the pain, and then the resistance to going after what you want is gone. Above all, our brain wants us to avoid pain, including emotional pain, but we much of the pain we can just absolutely get rid of, and the resistance now is gone. And now you go after what you want. And it's only if you're persistent and you keep learning and growing and adjusting, which every person can do. The more we do anything, we learn, we grow, we get better, we improve, we acquire skills. You get on that path, it is only a matter of time before you get what you want. And that's what John has done. That's what I've done. And we are still works in progress, but we have had massive success. And the foundation is get rid of that trauma out of you, put good beliefs in. Now you're moving forward. Thus endeth my sermon.
Yeah, and it's just, oh, I froze there. Sorry.
And it works. And I've done it for hundreds of people. And I got tons of it. I got a video interview guy worth 100 million on my channel. He has an annual event at MIT. Watch his interview. That's a Rick Zapio interview on my channel. Changed his life, 2 sessions.
So let me ask you something. Let's go back to just Ryan Fowler. So why do you do this?
Because I know what it's like to suffer. Because I used to suffer massively, and then I found something that changed my life. And then, like you said earlier, once you change your internal world, you're like a fish who's been in a dirty pond your whole life, and all of a sudden you're in clean water. You're in a different pond. You're like, oh my goodness, this is so much better. Look at all those fish still in the dirty pond. And all they do, the clean pond's right next. They just got to hop out. Just hop out. You'll get in the clean pond. It's so much freaking better. And you know they're still suffering. And we have compassion and empathy for those guys because we know what it's like. And my old job, you know my old job, I averaged 190 grand a year working for myself, my own small business. I quit it to do this now full time because it's that important. The techniques I've stumbled upon and then refined are so freaking powerful. It's like, how can I not? I know what it's like to suffer, and for most guys, you can just get massive results, massive benefits, 1, 2, for some 3 sessions. You know, occasion maybe 10% of guys do 5 or 6 with me, but really 80% 1 or 2 sessions, and another 10% 3 sessions, and all their major shit's cleared. And then they go on to have amazing lives. You know, your guy Elevate Cyber, he's gonna be giving webinars. You know him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He did I think he did 2 sessions with me, tripled his income. Do you remember how bashful and shy he was? And he's just slaying it now with relationships, with everything. It changes everything. How can we not do it? It's so freaking powerful. It helps so many people. I'm doing it because I want to change the world, and I want to end suffering as much as I can. And Jorge, my good friend in Mexico, I changed Jorge's life too.
Oh, he's down in Mexico now?
Yeah, he's in Monterrey, Mexico. He was with Mexico City for a while, and that was, you know, he was head trainer for Jordan Belfort's, one of his companies, for a while. He's in Mexico.
Jorge. That's right. My bad.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. That's great. Well, look,
thank you, Jorge.
You know, the reason we talk about this, and I know, like, you know, right now, especially with the economy being the way it is, nobody wants to hear self-development. Everybody wants to escape. Everybody just wants pussy, pussy, pussy. But it sounds counterintuitive, but I'm telling you, like, the way to get everything that you want is to clean up your inner world. That is the
way
key.
to get pussy is to clean up your internal world.
Everything. And like in today's marketplace, you know, you want to have as much of a statistical advantage as possible, right? Well, that being said, this is what we're talking about here. This here is the key. This is what's going to set you above the rest, because money, status, 6 foot tall, 6-pack abs, 6-figure salary, whatever the case may be, means nothing if you are mentally weak and broken inside. And these women, you can't hide it. They will smell it out, and they will find it. And that's when the shit test starts. And that's when they start to really. What's that?
The ghosting, the flaking,
the ghosting.
You're plan C. You're not option A.
Because women are just fucking, they're pragmatic when it comes to understanding what they want in a relationship. And, you know, they just know exactly what they want. And you're not it. They're going to go, it's in their biological nature to go out and find what they're looking for.
Yeah. So
Ryan is going to be speaking at the Masculine Empowerment Network for all you guys who have signed up already. You know, he's doing some new webinars as well. These are some new ones here. And these webinars are so in depth. And I'm telling you, if you're willing to actually do the work, if you're willing to look into yourself and confront these demons that you're dealing with, you're a step above the rest. He'll be speaking on 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 14th. Ryan Fowler, how to rapidly rewire your subconscious mind. And then also the following week, he'll be talking about how to overcome approach and dating anxiety, so you don't have to be a slave to your subconscious mind and just be in a position where you're just not in a good place, you know?
And that's not just education. That comes with my basic self-hypnosis program. It's self-hypnosis training and audio and worksheets that help you prep. So you then use the audio and start rewiring your subconscious. It's actually going to show you what to do so you can change your life, not just, hey, here's stuff so you're enlightened. We're showing you practical stuff you can use.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Powerful stuff.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us here. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us today. And again, one more time, guys, just so you know, the Masculine Empowerment Network, the enrollment period is closing because in 2 days and 3 hours, we're going to be closing up shop here. So you're not going to want to miss out on this because we have to get going on the live webinar training because, I mean, where else are you going to go and have literally 40 hours of coaching right now? And then you get an additional 40 hours at the end of the year because you get grandfathered into the next batch of webinars. We're going to continue to evolve these webinars. We're going to continue to produce more new webinars. But another thing is this too, like for some people who say like, oh, you're always doing the same webinars. You're always doing the same webinars. That's because you guys aren't changing. Like we're continuously putting the same information out there because there's no change. Some of these guys, you guys joined the Masculine Empowerment Network 1 year, 2 year. You still got a little fat on your body. You're still not really gotten your fashion on point. You're still not really solid with your frame. You're still not fucking doing a lot of things that you need to do. So, you know, if you're not changing, then we can't change what we're telling you because the problem is still there. Your problems in your life are going to continue to persist and be there with you until you conquer them. Or that's what's going to be, you know, that's your life. That's your life right there.
There is definitely new material every webinar series. Like I've never specifically done a webinar on to your group. And again, I have a community and a website and I do webinars for that, but they're much shorter. They're not as nearly as in-depth. The ones I do for you, they could be like 2, 3, 6 hours. Probably shortest one was 3 hours. And I've never done a really in-depth webinar on approach anxiety, sexual anxiety, dating anxiety, and give guys specific tools to overcome that. I've never done that specifically before. That's going to be brand new for you guys. So,
well, those who come, I have a special plan that I'm only going to tell to the guys internally. But for the people that do sign up, we're going to go and help you far above and beyond what you expect. I'm not going to make any promises to people. You know, you sign up, you don't. But we're in the business transformation. We're in the business of making guys' lives, you know, what they need to be. And shout out to Laurent who says, stay away from hookers and barbecue wines. Love you, Laurent. Love you so much, buddy. And the shout out to Marcelo Dobrich, who just became a YouTube member. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much. That's going to do it for us here today, guys. So I'll be back tomorrow with the Red Pill Sunday sermon, and it's going to be a good one. Until then, Ryan, do you want to say anything in closing, my brother?
Onward and up. Well, here's what I'll say. Maybe you try 15 different things to improve your life, and the first 14 don't work. The final one changes your life forever. Let me tell you, it is worth it. And John already has an established track record. I already have an established track record. Each time you up level, it's an permanent improvement in your life. And I know there's people out there, you know, pitching self-help crap. I'm telling you my own personal story. I went through the 14, 15 different crap that didn't work. And then I finally found the thing that did 12 years ago, massively changed my life. Just, you go to my old website, pfshield.com, click on the videos, and you'll see me 15 years ago and my energy back then to now, the success I have now, and just the internal peace and happiness. It is worth it. When you find the truth, it is worth it. Or you can stay where you are and live the rest of your life in mediocrity because you never up level, you never take the risk, and then you're on your deathbed with nothing but regret. That's not the life you want. Hey, take the chance. Failing is just learning and growing. Those who succeed the most first fail the most. They try the hardest things. You look at Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, they all talk about, all these billionaires, they all talk about how they failed over and over again. That's what you got to do to finally find the success or learn the things that do up level your life. Take that journey because it is so worth it when you get on the other side. Just, you can do it. It is worth it. You are worth it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you inside the Masculine Empowerment Network.
Take my money.
And then we'll be here tomorrow as well for the
Thanks, guys.
Study sermon. Until then, peace out.